Our final video for this lesson is we just want to look at some story problems. How do fractions exist? How do we look at fractions and or decimals outside of just a pure mathematical sense? So you do not have to type these, you're not typing, I am. You do not have to write these, but if you cut a lemon into 10 equal parts, what decimal number would represent, what decimal number would 3 pieces represent? So why don't you think about that before I give you the answer. If you cut a lemon into 10 equal parts, what decimal number would 3 pieces represent? Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you always think, oops, I don't want an arrow. Let's just get rid of that. That's horrible. Okay, I need to change my shape here. Alright, let's go. So when you think about this, and you think about your shape, so you can always draw a picture. Pictures are always going to help you, unless you're a horrible drawer and you really can't tell. But for the most part, remember, you can drawing some sort of representation is always going to help. So now you're going to take 3 equal pieces, 1, 2, 3, and that's 3 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 3 of 10, or 3/10, which as a decimal is going to give you, well, we put our 3 here. How many zeros? 1. It's going to be 0.3, 3/10. Now, hopefully you got that one right. Give me a second. I'm going to type the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, problem number 2 has 2 parts. A bag of pretzel contains 100 pretzels. What decimal number would 28 pretzels represent? And then what decimal number would 5 represent? So why don't you take some time, pause the video, and see what you come up with. Ladies and gentlemen, I just changed that to blue. Now it's back to black. Now this is what I wanted to do. I wanted the blue pen. If you made a drawing, you would have drawn 100 pretzels, or you would have drawn a box that had 100 or whatever it might be. In this case, just because I'm lazy and I don't have that much room and I want to fit one more problem here, I'm not going to draw the drawing. But if you made the drawing, fantastic. If you didn't and you don't need to, that's fantastic too. It's kind of up to you and what you and your learning style need. But when we look at 100 pretzels, what we're going to find out is that is going to be our what's called our denominator out of 100, and we're going to have, oops, that makes it looks like it's out of 1,100, and we're going to have 2 out of 100 because the first one is going to be 28 out of 100 and the second one is going to be 5 out of 100. And actually what I want to do, let's see if I can erase this, because we're going to slide this one over a little bit to give us more space, and that's 5 out of 100. Now the question asks us what decimal number would represent 28. This right here is fraction form. We want it in decimal form, which means we need a decimal point. So what we're going to do is we're going to put, first we're going to put our number, and that's going to equal 28 something. How many zeros do we have? We have 2 zeros, so let's move ours 1, 2, and this is where our decimal point goes. That was horrible. I probably shouldn't use white. Okay? But we go 1, 2, and then we fill in with our 0. So 28 hundredths. Now, we're going to do the same thing with the 5. First thing we do is we put the 5 down. Now, how many zeros do we have? We have 1, 2. So we're going to go 1, 2, and this is where our decimal point goes. Now, this blank space here we need to fill, and we're going to fill it with the 0, and we're going to put a 0 in front of the decimal point. So it's going to be 0.05. Then this one was 0.28. Now, hopefully you got that correct. If not, watch look at video number 3, or talk to Mr. Winkleman. He'd love to help you understand this. All right, we got one more problem, so I'm going to type it and then we'll talk about it. Our final problem, ladies and gentlemen, is a beehive is home to 1,000 bees. If 235 bees are out gathering pollen, what decimal number do those bees represent? Then the next part of that question is, what decimal number represents the bees that remain in the hive? So we have two separate problems here that you have to solve. Pause the video, solve the problem, and then start the video and see if you got the same answer that I did. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the first part, we have 235 out of 1,000. So what we do is we start by writing 235. And how many zeros do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. So we need to make sure we have 1, 2, 3. So our decimal point is going to go right here, and we want to put a 0. So 235 thousandths is 0.235. Now the next one, we're going to actually have to do subtraction, and we're going to take 1,000 less 235, and we should get somewhere around 765. So what's left would be 765 over 1,000, and again we're going to start by writing 765 over, and then we have to figure out how many zeros. 1, 2, 3. So that's how many spots to the right of the decimal point. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Fill in our decimal point right here and add our 0. Now that is the end of the videos. What I want you to do is go back to the initial video, go back to the top of the page, and look at our question today. How do we represent numbers less than 1? And then that second question that I asked is, what is the relationship between decimals and fractions? I think that was the question. I didn't write that one down, so hopefully you did. So what's the relationship between decimals and fractions? And how do we go between the two of them? All right, when you have that answer, talk to Mr. Winkleman. He probably has a wonderful gift for you. All right, thank you.